Hey, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at Bitcoin Cash. I do want to say that I'm not a financial advisor. You should do your own research before investing money into crypto. If you haven't seen the previous update, make sure to watch that before watching this one. It's going to be linked in the top right-hand corner of the screen, but a lot has changed since. But if you want more context, then feel free to watch that video before this one. And I also want to mention that I have two links down below in the description. If you want to support Ukraine, you can do so by going over to the official websites and you can donate to support the refugees. And without further ado, let's get straight into the technical analysis. So jumping into the daily chart on Bitcoin Cash, straight away, I want to tell you that we are in a falling wedge here. So as you can see, we have this as the point of creation of the falling wedge, and you've been bouncing up and down in this falling wedge. And right now you're very near the resistance level, and you've reached the resistance level and you're having another bounce and you're coming back down. So hopefully what could happen here for Bitcoin Cash is the 20 EMA is going to hold us as support, and you're going to bounce off of that, and then you're going to see a break to the upside. Now, as you know, once you have a multi-month resistance trend line, a diagonal multi-month resistance trend line, and when you break it, you typically see a very strong move to the upside. And Bitcoin Cash has been on a roll since October 20th here. You can see from $106, it went all the way up here to 120. And right now we're seeing a little retracement, which is healthy. So a bounce off of the 20 EMA would be perfect. That could come with the FOMC meeting happening in the next couple of days. And potentially if the interest rates are raised by another 75 basis points, then obviously that could bring the markets down, and Bitcoin's going to come down along with all the other altcoins, and we may see another retest for Bitcoin Cash of either $110, or we could drop all the way down, lose the 20 EMA, lose this gold zone that we're in right now, and we could come back all the way down here and retest the support of the falling wedge. But like I said, it all depends on the news. For example, if we see a 50 basis points hike, that could be a bullish sign that the Fed is not going to be increasing the interest rates moving forward. But I just don't see that happening. And in November, December, I do expect more interest rate hikes. But we're just going to have to wait and see what happens. So if we get a 50 basis points hike, the markets could see a little pump and we may break out of this falling wedge, and our next resistance level above us is $122. So if you're looking for a swing trade, you could enter off of the 20 EMA here and take some profits off of the 122 based on the news. But like I said, we don't know what's going to happen. If you could buy here at the 20 and then we get a 75 basis points hike, you're going to come down lower, so you're at a loss. If you're not, leverage trading, which I never leverage trade, if you're in spot, that shouldn't be an issue. Regardless, $113 for Bitcoin Cash is quite cheap in my opinion. We obviously have our low printed here in July at $95. So if by some chance we lose the support of the falling wedge and we come all the way down, retest this zone here all the way down to $95, that could be a good entry point. That will be a good entry point for Bitcoin Cash. And there's also the potential that we may retest the second fib level here at $91. And keep in mind, if Bitcoin crashes all the way down to $14,000 to $12,000, Bitcoin Cash can absolutely drop even lower and potentially come all the way down here to $61. So keep that in mind. Just because we are in a bullish pattern here does not mean that we are going to be, pumping for the next couple of months. Things can always change, but if we don't see a drop for Bitcoin in the next, I would say 100 days, then the bottom has probably been printed in June and we're not going to be retesting those lows. But like I said, anything can happen. So the Fibonacci retracement that I have here is with the swing high that we printed in May of 2021 and with the swing low that we printed in June and July of 2021. That gave us the 1.618 target here at $158.3. We lost that in June this year, retested it as resistance, and now we're in this falling wedge pattern here, potentially looking for a break to the upside and a retest of that 1.618 as resistance. That is also on the table here. So if you're looking for a nice swing trade and you're expecting a 50 BPS rise in the interest rates, well, that would be a nice 36.8% trade for you. And if you want to set up buy limit orders in advance and just have all of this area covered with limit orders, I'm not gonna tell you that that's a bad idea, because that's very smart. If we see the capitulation, altcoins are gonna dip very quickly, very low, and then they're gonna see the the quick recovery that we usually do, and we're gonna see 30 to 80% plus in the next week or so. So that's how you can be smart about it. Like I said, this is a bullish pattern potentially for us, but I don't think this is going to be a bullish reversal pattern. I think there's going to be a bullish continuation pattern, which means that we're going to break up, but you're not going to be continuing in this uptrend, right? A bullish reversal pattern means that the trend is going to be broken, but overall, if you take a look at the trend, we are in a downtrend. So even if we reach our technical target here, that's not going to change things. We're still going to be printing a lower high. So what we need to do is we need to start breaking this high here that we printed in April. That's going to be a major signal that we potentially are flipping bullish. But until that happens, this is simply a bullish continuation, or a bullish continuation pattern. Yeah, it's not a bullish reversal pattern. It would be a bullish reversal pattern if we broke out from here and then we continued on, and that would have been the bottom. But it could happen. Obviously, it could, but it's just that that's not very realistic given the circumstances. So I'm just giving you my opinion on the situation. The closer we get to the apex of the pattern, the more chances you have of a breakout. 75% chance of breaking to the upside, 25% chance of breaking to the downside. These patterns break to the downside as well. So if we see a break to the downside, $95 is your support, $91 is your next support. After that, what you could do is you can take a Fibonacci retracement, take the swing high that we printed in July and take the low that we printed in July as well, and you're going to have your next sort of target to the downside with the Fibonacci retracement. So you have the minimal target at the 1.272, that's going to be $81, then the 1.414 at $75, and then the 1.618 down here at $67. So these are your extension levels in case you start losing the low that we printed in July. So this is how you can kind of see where we can land. And moving over to the daily RSI, these drawings are for the weekly chart, if I remember correctly. Let me just see. No, these are actually for the daily. So we're going to extend this trend line to the upside because this is a support trend line that we've been bouncing off of in January this year. In May, we had a little fake out in June, another bounce at the end of June, and we still haven't seen the, another bounce. But we could potentially see that with the capitulation November 2nd or November 3rd. We could see that with the Bitcoin capitulation if we see a move to $14,000 or $12,000, which still is on the play. It's on the table, but the more we wait before that happens, the lesser chance we have of that happening, because there is something called the Bitcoin halving, and we're getting closer to that. And I just don't think that if we're 500, 400 days away from that, it's very unlikely that we're going to print our bottom afterwards, right? If you're 200 days close to the, or 200 days away from the Bitcoin halving, it's just very unlikely that you're going to print a new bottom. But anything can happen, like I said. Let's just see how this plays out with the FOMC meeting. That's going to be the decisive point, in my opinion. If we see a 75 BPS rate, we're coming back down potentially. So have your buy limit orders at $107, $106, and all the way down here, potentially at $102, $103, because we may come back down and retest the support of this falling wedge. Now, let's switch over to the Binance website. Switching over to the weekly chart on Binance, you can see that we're being suppressed by this diagonal trend line, and we looked at it obviously here, but on the weekly chart, it seems like we're about to start breaking out from there, right? Because the candle has been opened above the resistance trend line. So potentially you may see a move to the upside. We're looking at the 20 EMA here at $138. That could be a nice take profit zone. But as you can see, you're being squeezed up here. You're being squeezed up. You have your support level here at $105. You're being squeezed up in between the resistance and the support level, and you may end up breaking to the downside. So if that happens, all these wicks here, Bitcoin Cash can get bought up pretty quickly. So I would be very, very careful with the limit orders, and I would set them up in advance. And switching over to the weekly RSI this time, and you can see we have two diagonal resistance trend lines. It seems like we're about to break from the green one, and we've been retesting the green one since November last year. So we had one touch in November 21, we had one touch in March this year, and right now in October we're almost breaking out of it. Like I said, if we break out of this resistance level, that would be a nice confirmation. If we're breaking out of the resistance level on the price action chart, that's double the confirmation. So in this case, Bitcoin Cash would be set for a move to the 20 EMA. However, there's always, the Bitcoin that you should be on the lookout for. Whatever Bitcoin does, altcoins will follow. Moving over to the stochastic on the weekly, you can see that Bitcoin Cash is pretty much in the oversold here and has been ever since June of 2021. So all this over here is basically accumulation phase for Bitcoin Cash. Not all of it is accumulation, but based on this here, we can see that it's very low, below the index of 20. So if you look specifically at this is where you have a lot of sideways movement. And then once you start breaking towards the 2022, 2023, 2024 bull market, and once you end up here, that's when you want to be taking profits. My settings for the stochastic here are 28, 30, or 28, 3, and 3. And this is the stochastic, not the stochastic RSI. And yeah, that's regarding that. And if we take a look at the MACD, as you can see, we're seeing this overextension with the moving average and the red signal line, just like we saw it all the way back here in. Actually, we didn't see such a thing in the last October or November pump, because most altcoins did see this from August to November. We saw this nice move to the upside. Bitcoin Cash didn't have that, which is surprising to me. I don't remember taking a look at the weekly MACD for quite a while. So yeah, what happened for most altcoins is you had this same scenario over here. You had it in the last year's October and November, and you got very overextended. And a lot of altcoins are doing the same thing right now. And Bitcoin Cash didn't have that last year, but it does have it this time around. And the histogram is flipped bullish. So this is a lagging indicator, obviously. And you can see we created the bullish cross July 25th. So let's just take a look at the price action to see when was that, July 25th. That was all the way here, and we're down from there 15%. So as you can see, this is not always the best indicator to trade if you're in a flat here, and the price action is technically in a flat. You're not doing anything. Once you're in an uptrend or a downtrend, a more significant uptrend, in a more significant downtrend, that's when you can use the MACD. But in this flat area here, it's not very useful. So that pretty much covers it for Bitcoin Cash. The video is a bit too long. I do apologize. I'm going to catch you in the next one. Goodbye and good night.